Hello everyone, I'm Eliza, back with another video. For those of you who don't know me, I am starting my own tech startup and doing this video blog as I go along so that you learn the lessons along with me about the best way to start a company, your own startup. So this week I was supposed to come out with a video and I recorded it, and then I watched the footage back and the audio was terrible and the lighting was really bad because it's getting dark so early nowadays. I don't have any of my own fancy equipment, so I just basically have to wait for it to be daylight out, which it is now, and so I'm going to very quickly record this video while I still have that light. So sorry I didn't have a video last week is what I'm saying. So this week I want to talk about branding messages, because you can't really do anything marketing-wise, pitching-wise, if you don't have a really good sense for what your brand is saying. And I define brand as sort of the core message and the core emotional response. But as we've been trying to develop our own brand voice and brand message, we've noticed that it actually is quite a challenge to stay consistent with that message. So I would say that there's many different types of brands out there that we all are aware of, from companies to celebrities. Even those pet Instagram accounts have their own brand. However, I would say that pretty much all brands fall into two main categories, and those would be relatable and aspirational. So first I'm going to talk about aspirational brands. So these are ones that basically you look up to, that you want to be, that you wish you were, but you aren't right now. I think the best example of this is Beyonce. In fact, she's sort of the best example of everything, isn't she? That's exactly my point, is that she's almost so perfect that it's very close to unattainable. You know, every picture that she sends out is very well thought out, very well planned, very rehearsed, in a good way. It's been said that she continues to rehearse her dance routines until the second that she has to come onto the stage. So she's sort of the best of what we could be. Now, what aspirational brands are trying to do is they are trying to make you feel like you want to be better than you are right now, that you want to be beyond where you currently are, and their product, they are going to help you get to that other place that you want to be. So if you buy this item, you will be this good, or you will be prettier, smarter, more successful, what have you. That's the sort of implication that those brands are trying to get across when they are being aspirational. Now, on the other hand, you have what are called relatable brands. I think probably the best example for this one that I can think of right off the bat is Jennifer Lawrence when she was in her heyday. There have been plenty of other ones like Emma Stone or Tiffany Haddish. The key to these brands are that they are relatable, aka that you can relate to them. They make you feel good because they see a reflection of themselves in the brand. So what this brand message is trying to get across is that you are good the way you are. What it's trying to do is to reaffirm your own identity, to prove that you are very good the way that you are, and to show everyone else that you are good the way you are, including your imperfections or your slight flaws. Usually these flaws are fairly quirky and fairly likable because they speak to something that you can connect with, that you sometimes feel. So it feels vulnerable, but at the same time, most people probably feel the same way, so that you can get power in all admitting that you sometimes feel uncomfortable in certain situations. So with these brand messages, there isn't a right or wrong way to make a brand message, but there are ways that you can make it more effective. One thing that you should avoid doing is mixing aspirational and relatable brand messages. It might be tempting to kind of combine the two because you get the pros of both of the messages, but the problem is that they're speaking to two different and sort of conflicting emotional truths. Like I said before, an aspirational brand is trying to get you to move forward from where you are to some future stage, some next step. Whereas a relatable brand is reaffirming who you are right now. If you try to mix them, what's likely to happen is that people will feel confused about how they are supposed to feel. The most effective brandings are going to resonate emotionally. They might not remember the exact ad you played, they might not remember even exactly how your product works, but they will probably remember the feeling that you evoke in them. And if that branding is confusing and it's conflicting, they're either going to feel not good, or they're just not going to feel anything and just move on because it's very difficult to keep anyone's attention for any length of time these days. So the other thing I'd say is that I spoke before about the benefits of the two types of brand messaging. There are also some pitfalls associated with each one of them. So with an aspirational brand, the benefit is that you feel like you will be a better person with this brand. On the other hand, if you don't do it correctly, you can come across feeling pretty pretentious or snobby or sort of inaccessible. Even though you're aspirational, you usually have to have a hint of relatability in there. Not so much that it's confusing, but more like the better way, the better you is achievable. If it feels like you'll never be there, then you'll only build resentment and mistrust. So then on the other hand, you have relatable. It's tempting to think that the relatable brand is easier because after all, we're all ordinary people, we all have flaws, we can all be likable when we need to be. So sometimes it can seem like that's the easier way to go. But if the relatable is not done correctly, you can look fake and inauthentic. And that is very bad as a brand message. Relatability is also very difficult to keep pure as your brand grows and develops. I've seen this a lot with a lot of YouTubers, like, for example, Logan Paul. He started out his vlogs being very relatable. It was just him going through his daily life. However, as he became more popular, as he got a lot more money, his lifestyle changed, and suddenly his daily life was not relatable to the average person. And I think that's where this whole idea of flexing has come from, is that being just purely relatable, it's inauthentic at this point because he doesn't live the life that most people lead. And so he had to switch his brand message to much more of an aspirational one. And this has caused no end of friction as he's made that transition, but actually I think he's done that fairly successfully. Most celebrities also fall into this trap, which is why you can see sort of the meteoric rise of stars and people love them so much one moment, and then suddenly the tide turns against them. Usually what's happened is that they've built their sort of brand and personality up by being so relatable, but then eventually there will be something that happens that feels inauthentic, that feels like a betrayal of that brand, and that's where things can go terribly wrong. Listen, aspirational brands are difficult too. If you look at Beyonce, she so rarely does interviews. She barely puts out anything that hasn't been carefully curated with months of work. Even her Instagram posts look very deliberate, and it's very clear that she's taken hundreds and hundreds of photos before choosing the exact right one that she's going to post. You know, aspirational brands, you have to have everything planned out pretty far in advance. It's very difficult to do anything ad hoc or improvised. So anyway, those are my thoughts on branding. Please comment below if you agree or disagree or have anything to add about branding. Like this video if you enjoyed it. Please subscribe because it really helps me out as I do this, and I'll see you later. Bye.